Recharge is a new racing game now in early access. As their store page reads, Recharge is a Simcade RC racing game with realistic graphics and physics. Customize your RC car and race on tracks inspired by real-world locations. We did receive this game for free from the developers Room Games, so thank you for them. We're going to take a look at the good, the bad, and the upcoming. The standout feature of Recharge is the RC car physics. They've been able to perfectly capture that zippy, chaotic nature of a real RC car. It feels light and toy-like it should. Bumping into terrain, sidewalls, and other cars, it's usually going to result in a spin out or a total crash. Just flip over though, and you're back in the race. If being true to RC cars was their goal, and not trying to have them act like real cars, Recharge has succeeded on that. Graphics are serviceable. Recharge is running on Unreal, and I would call this pseudo-realism. Things look nice and have that realistic look, but you're not going to get fooled into thinking it's real. Still very video gamey. As is our RC cars, they should feel small. Some tracks do that well when there are objects outside the track to compare them to. Others, it loses that, and it's just another racing game. Specifically, the engine sounds good. The windup of the tiny electric motor while you're accelerating and the sustained max rev at top speed do a great job at selling that this is a toy. The only other real sound there is the tires. It's minimal, really only hearing it when you take a sharp turn or land after a jump, but it should be quiet. These are tiny toy tires. The occasional spinning on loose dirt when starting off, but that's about it. There is a lack of any other overall sounds. No music, no crowds, only a soft ambient environment noise like bugs or the beach. It's a very quiet game, so we can't say that they're bad sounds because they just don't even exist. To be fair, for most racing games, I usually turn the volume down or off anyways, and I'm listening to something else, so your usage may vary. I played on keyboard and mouse, as I do all driving games, so take that into consideration, but mechanics are tight and very responsive. You seem to have unlimited traction, so accelerating, braking, and cornering are consistent no matter the terrain. This definitely helps set lines and learn the tracks a lot easier. You'll very soon know on every turn where you can go all out and when to start braking. Jumps, or rather the landing, can be a bit of a gamble, but it seemed like when you're airborne, if you're not accelerating when you land, and granted you land clean, more often than not, you're not going to flip. Otherwise, bouncing around is almost guaranteed. With acceleration being instantaneous though, you're back in the race almost immediately. There are a total of 11 tracks so far. There are some shared environments, but the tracks themselves, the course you're actually driving on, are unique. There is quite a bit of mix of quality between them all. Like we talked about, I think they could do a better job of having off-track props that help show the relative scale of your RC car. There are plenty of other games out there where you are a toy-themed character that do a much better job at this. Even with the realistic graphics theme, they gotta do better. As for the number, 11 tracks is about the bare minimum, especially with some of these being almost repeats. It is early access, and the devs have said that more are coming, so I think it's fine for launch. The actual course of the tracks, those are fun. The best tracks do a good job at knowing what the cars can do and pushing them. Zipping around the track, going all out up a hill to fly off to the next section. Definitely wish we had some longer ones though, maybe even some rally races. One of the worst things you can do while gaming is just sitting there, waiting for things to start. And Recharge does do a great job at limiting that. There's a 30-second timer that starts to end the race once first place finishes, keeping races from taking too long, waiting for last place to finish. And the time in between races is very short, meaning most of your time in game, you're actually in a race, which is why you're even there. Recharge has a very unique camera angle they like to play with. It's a first-person view as if you were the driver. And since these are RC cars, that means you're off the track on some kind of stand. Like you're the guy with the remote controlling the RC car on the track. It takes a little bit to get used to, left and right changing up and down, but once you get it, you'll love it. I do wish you could force this as a race setting, meaning everyone has to use it, would make it a lot more true to life, and you get rid of the obvious benefit of having the other camera angles. Definitely a fun little addition, wish it could be used more. Unfortunately, the player base is rather limited. The biggest lobby I was able to get in was about 5 to 6, and those races were fun, but mostly of my playtime, hopping on at all hours throughout the day, it was mostly lobbies of 1 to 3. It does seem that a decent enough amount of people have already bought the game, and there can be always more, but for online play, I wouldn't expect much. There are full races with the AI, but it's not the same. Hopefully future updates and maybe some events can bring people online for specific times. A minor complaint, but the map selection in between races is not good. You have to scroll through all of the tracks in a limited amount of time, while also trying to look for what other people voted for. I like the map voting, keep that part in there, but there's gotta be a better way. Either make a grid of all the tracks, or maybe only show us a few at a time. Either way, just make it better. Granted, there shouldn't be too much UI for a racing game, but even this feels limited. First, the measurements are all in meters, and there's no option to change it. As an American, I don't even know what these numbers mean. But also, why are we measuring the difference between first and second in a distance measurement? Why is there not a time? The developers even went out of their way to put in checkpoint markers so you could really accurately measure the time difference in between each spot. There's also a lack of a map or some kind of upcoming indicator. Even something like a rally game where you just get the next part of the track ahead, short right over narrow long, all that nonsense. Eventually you do learn the track, so maybe not that big of a deal, but maybe that's where they're drawing the line between arcade and realism. An end of race leaderboard is nice, but all we get here is placements and total race time. Give us player ranks, total wins, total races, fastest lap. Really anything at this point would be better. Room Games, the developers of Recharge, have thankfully put out a roadmap. For the rest of 2025, the major update looks to be crawling mode, or what sounds to be their take on rock climbing. With the physics that we can already play with, this could be interesting. I wouldn't expect anything along the lines of spin tires. As we previously went over, the traction will definitely be limiting, but I'm all for it. They've also got listed Ghost Racing, a solid addition to time trials, and VR support. The first person, second, third person camera angle we talked about earlier could be a great mix with this. In 2026, drift mode is coming. It'll be interesting to see that with, as mentioned again, that traction. I don't recall the RC cars that I drove drifting that much, maybe on dirt, but this could definitely add another layer to the overall driving. Team racing is also being added. As we discussed though, player numbers will be important for this one. Combat racing is pegged for Q2, add some chaos to competition. Will this be in the form of weapons? Maybe closer to something like Wreckfest? Definitely curious to see what this turns into. And underbody LEDs, not huge, but add some more customization. Titled simply as Future are what I think could be the most important updates. First is console release. This will potentially bring in more players, especially if the other updates come through first and Recharge has more overall features. A cheaper, fun racing game that could do very well there. What has me the most hopeful for Recharge's future is listed as user-generated content. The different tracks that a community could come up with are limitless. Just looking at other games that have this type of content, it's their lifeblood, and it could be for Recharge too. We don't know if this will come in the way of a track editor or actual map making through Unreal, but either way, if the devs continue to support this game, then I think people will want to add to it. Take all of the criticism that I or anyone else has for Recharge, add in user-made community tracks, and people will forget all about them. Along with each major time section, they also have listed that they'll be adding new maps, cars, and components. After my time with Recharge, I think it is exactly what Early Access is meant for. By no means would I call this a finished game, but neither do the developers. And while there is a lot that needs to be added, I see the potential in that. The good definitely outweighs the bad. You should always buy a game for what it is though, whether it's a full release or early access and a bunch of promises. Let us know what you think of Recharge. If you've had a chance to play it, what are your thoughts on it? And if you like this new format, leave a comment on how it flowed. For more gaming news and updates, subscribe.